find the true statistics, not the statistics that they put on the brochures and stuff like that. If you know you want to be a computer science major, why is Harvard your first choice? Or you get into your dream college and you have to sell your house and your dog just so that you can go. You should have thought about that beforehand so that you don't have to sell your dog and so your dog can be safe.
Oh, we knew life would be alright, but who could have known it'd be this good? Oh, Lord.
I'm really so proud of myself for learning how to use this camera. I'm back, you guys. I hope you didn't miss me too much. But today I'm talking about a topic that I think is fun, and that is how to pick a college, how to pick the college for you, how to find a dream college, how to know what school you even want to add to your Common App. You know what school you even want to apply to. Because other than that, you're just going to be applying everywhere, and that's a waste of your time. So let's go. A lot of people forget about this, or at least like think of it last, which is really interesting to me because you actually have to think about this first. Like, it's just realistic. Even if you get into a school but you spend your entire time thinking about how you're going to afford it, you're not going to have a good time. So, and you might be thinking, oh, there's scholarships and there's financial aid and there's all these things that I can get so that I can be able to afford this college, but are you going to get them every year? Are you going to have to apply to those things every single year? That takes a lot out of you, and it's also going to just like distract you from why you're there. It could be a motivator. It could be a reason why you grind hard and why you work hard. But if you are overall going to college because you want to relax and grow and kind of welcome this new part of your life, money is not something that you want to be thinking about 24/7. So analyzing your financial situation first before you start making your list of colleges is very important. It helps you so much because you don't want to get into a college. You don't want to get into your dream college and then not be able to go because you can't afford it, which happens so many times. Or you get into your dream college and you have to sell your house and your dog just so that you can go. You should have thought about that beforehand so that you don't have to sell your dog and so your dog can be safe. So there's two sides of it. If you're broke and if you're not. If your EFC is 0 and you know that you can't afford college, period, then you want to be looking for schools that will meet full demonstrated needs without loans. Very, very, very big difference. With and without loans, they're very, very different. So what does that mean? Basically, if you go online and you search up what schools meet full demonstrated need, that will show you what schools will pay whatever amount the government deems that you need help with. And then we get on the topic of EFC. What is EFC? It's your estimated family contribution. When you're applying to college, you're going to have to fill out a FAFSA. And what this is basically blank. It stands for, I forgot what it stands for, but from that form FAFSA, you'll get your EFC. And that's going to tell you how much the government expects you, your family or parent, to pay for school. For a lot of people, if you don't have that much money, and there's a list on the amounts, how many siblings you'll have, like all the factors that go into what your EFC is. But if you get to a point and you fill out the form and your EFC is 0, then this is exactly kind of the line you should be going to when looking for applying to schools. Schools that meet 100% demonstrated need will pay for whatever the government says you can't afford. So if your EFC is 0, basically the government's saying, look, she can't afford anything. So what will the school do? Pay for everything. What will the school do? Pay for everything. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, you can see why I'm really pushing you guys to look for schools that meet 100% demonstrated need without loans. If you know you can't afford college, this is the schools that you should be looking for. Don't look all over the place. You need to apply to those schools. Now, there are schools that meet full demonstrated need with loans, and what that means is that they will pay for everything, but they will also pay for everything and give you also some loans that you will have to pay back. Schools that meet full demonstrated need without loans will pay for everything and you don't have to pay it back. Do I have to say it again? You don't have to pay it back. Okay. So if you're looking towards these schools, you know your EFC is probably going to be zero and you know you can't afford college, you want to look at those list of schools first. And then when you're looking at the schools, just look at ways that you qualify, because some schools just have a income bracket that they pay for everything. For example, I think Stanford's income bracket is any family that makes below $120,000. They'll pay for they'll pay for tuition. And then any family that makes below $100,000, I believe, they'll pay for tuition and room and board. So basically a full ride. So every school is kind of different. Every school has different certain specific numbers and certain specific things. But for the most part, if a school meets full demonstrated need, 100 demonstrated need without loans, then they will find ways to bridge the gap between what the government says you can pay and what the government says you can't pay, and they'll pay the rest of it. Now, if you do have money, you know that your parents are gonna write you a little checkity check and invest in your education. Respect to those parents. But two, there's a couple of questions you want to ask yourself. Like, one, do you want your parent to be so financially invested in your college education? Because with money comes power, so they might have some power over you. That is something you discuss on your own. Two, you want to look at what we call merit scholarships, because some schools, like we talked about before, for people who can't afford it, give financial aid based on need based. So based on your EFC, which we talked about, and based on like certain income brackets. But some schools give money based on merit. And what does that mean? That means academic achievement, personal achievements, other things, like basically scholarships based on who you are and what you've actually done. They give those type of scholarships. So the reason why this is the best option for people who can afford college, but for some reason are trying to get scholarships, obviously they're trying to not take out a bajillion-dollar loan, is because merit scholarships do not pay attention to how much money you have. For the most part, merit scholarships are based on academics, the things you've created and like the things you've done. I believe it might just be based on academics. I'm actually not sure, but I know academics is a big part of merit scholarships. But merit scholarships have nothing to do with how much money you have. So if you could write a check for your tuition and keep going on with life, you are still just as good as a candidate for merit scholarships as someone who can't do that. So that's the thing with merit scholarships. It's just every man for themselves applying. Everyone can apply and everyone has equal chance to get in based on what they've accomplished or their merit and whatnot. Cool. I really am not the best on financial situation, but this is just what I went through and what I learned during when I was applying to college. So let's move on. What is your major? And I know that a lot of people don't decide this until junior year, whatever, right? But for people who do know what they want to do or have an idea of what they want to major in, considering your major when applying to colleges is top tier. You have to do it, because that's literally what you plan on going to school for. So if you know you want to be a computer science major, why is Harvard your first choice? You know? If you know that you want to study law, then why is Harvard not on your list? You know what I mean? Like, I cannot tell you guys how many people just apply to all these random schools knowing good and well that one, the school is either the worst for their major, or two, they can't afford it, or three, like, it just wouldn't fit for them. So that is why you have people applying to all these schools, getting into all these schools, but still not being happy at the school that they're at, and that is the problem. So if you have an idea of what major you want to go to, then you want to have Google searches like, what is the best school for nursing? What is the best school for computer science? What is the best school for the certain major that you want to do? Because you'll be surprised, you go to a super prestigious school, but if they're not super prestigious in the major you want to do, then you might actually not have as easy of a time getting a job as someone who did go to a school that had programs dedicated to their major and programs that specify in their major. So they're getting jobs and opportunities that are very high quality because they focused on what they're actually going to study for and not what just the name of the school is going to bring them. So for an example, right, I'm searching up best nursing programs. Something that comes up is Johns Hopkins. I've never heard of Johns Hopkins in my life, right? Does that mean it's a bad school? No. If I wanted to be a really successful nurse, technically Johns Hopkins should be on my list because it has one of the best nursing programs in the US. Apparently, from this like 20-second Google search that I did, more like 2-second Google search. Duke University comes up as number 1. These are like not credible articles. Please, when you're doing research on your major, actually like take your time, use credible articles and things like that. I'm just like looking at random websites. But Duke University is coming up as a top nursing program. So if you want to be a successful nurse, Duke University should be on your list, considering that it'll also be a financial fit for you. You see how we're filtering out all these schools because there are like thousands of schools, right? But technically, if you're looking at all the things that fit to your liking and to your major, there's really not that many schools for you. So it makes it so much easier for you to narrow it down because then you can focus on applying to the schools that will actually do you the best justice in your career. And you're not just applying to all these random schools, hoping that you get in and crying and celebrating over schools that aren't even going to really help you in life, which happens a lot. Number three, thing that I think is really important is that now after you've analyzed the financial situation of these schools and you've analyzed the academic situation, so what your major is going to be of these schools, now you can start adding your personal taste and seeing what you personally like in a school, what you don't like in a school. So the number one thing that I think is important when it comes to personal taste is urban versus rural, weather, and distance. I know I said number one thing, but these all kind of like come together because they all kind of hit you at once. First thing you're going to notice at a school is if it's either a switch from what you usually are at home. So if you come from a city, you're going to notice that Case Western University is in the middle of nowhere. That's the first thing you're going to notice. You're going to be like, what? Where's the Chipotle that is 200 feet down the block? Where is the Walgreens? And like, I don't know. I forgot. I live in a city too, but I forgot what else they have. Oh, where are the skyscrapers and where are like all these cool things, right? There's not going to be any of that in a rural area. So that's just a question to ask yourself. Do you want to be in the middle of nowhere? Maybe you do come from a city, but now you want a suburban vibe. Maybe you've been living in the country fields, but now you want the city life and you want something more interesting for your college years. So you want to be smack dab in the city and go to NYU or something like that. So it really depends on like what you want for your college years. Maybe you come from the city and you want to stay in the city. So you don't want to all of a sudden wake up and there's like a cow walking around in the distance. Maybe you're afraid of cows. You know, it's all depending on what you actually like. Whether do you come from a cold city or a cold place and now you're really sick of it and you want it to be hot, so you're gonna apply to only California schools? Maybe. Do you come from a hot city or place and you've never seen snow, so you really want to see snow and you know that you think it's going to be really cool for you, so now you want to apply to maybe a college close to Chicago or close to New York and stuff like that. So weather is one of those things where you think it doesn't matter, but it actually does matter, because seasonal depression is real. If you're not used to it being cold and now it's cold all the time, you're going to hate life. For some people. If you're not used to the heat, you might hate it. Like, you might hate that it's always hot. Some people don't like that. So weather is one of those things where you think it doesn't matter, but it does matter. So just consider that. And then third thing is also distance. So this is like a major thing I would say to consider when it comes to personal taste. How far do you want to go away from home? Do you want to be in-state or do you want to be out-of-state? This makes it so much easier for you. After you narrow down all these schools, now ask yourself, do you want to be in-state or out-state? If you know that you want to get as far away from home as possible, don't apply first to schools that are 15 minutes away from your home, okay? Do you get homesick often? Are you someone who is going to be crying once a week because you miss your family? And is that something you want to change, or is that something you don't want to change? Some people cannot be away from their family. There's too much going on. They just don't want to do it. So in-state it is, and they have so many options, hopefully, in their state. Or maybe they don't have an option. They only have one option in their state. But maybe that option gives them really good tuition discount, so it works out for them. Some people want to get as far away from home as humanly possible, so they're going out of state, out of the country. That's another possibility, and that works out for them because they can afford it, they got a scholarship, and whatnot. So distance is a major thing. I know a lot of people want college to be a place where they can have new experiences and they can grow and learn a lot about themselves, and only you know how far you have to be able to do that. So the fourth thing, I would say, this is another personal taste one, and this is something that I don't think anyone should forget about, especially if you are a minority or especially if you really, really value community: culture and diversity of the school you are applying to. This is where we get the terms PWI and HBCU. Research your school's culture and diversity rates and actually find the true statistics, not the statistics that they put on the brochures and stuff like that, and see if it'll be okay for you. Maybe growing up you were always surrounded by the same type of people and you know that you want a change of scenery or a change of culture, more diversity. This is very important. It's something I would encourage people to pursue and to explore, because after college, it's not that it's hard to find diversity, but after college, the possibility of you just being in such a diverse space and with such diverse minds and such people with diverse experiences does decrease a little bit, because now you're in the workforce, you're focused on getting money, you're going where the money is, not where the wisdom of like different people's experiences are, right? And I will preface this by saying, you don't have to go to an HBCU if you want Black people. You don't have to go to a PWI if you want white people. I don't know. But all schools have most schools have some sort of diversity programs or diversity houses or spaces on campus, so that people of the same ethnicity or culture can come together and still feel that place of home. So research all of it. Research all of that. One thing that really inspired me to apply to Stanford is we have a black house, we have Ujima, that's a black dorm, we have so much that respects black culture. Obviously it came through years of fighting, but I think Stanford's one of the schools that do diversity inclusion really, really well that I've seen. For examples, Yale has like a very cool black Nigerian population. They're lit, okay? From what I've heard, all my Yale friends, they began lit, okay? So I don't want you guys to think that if you're black, you have to go to HBCU. You don't have to go to HBCU. That's not true. But you do have to look for, if you know that you do need a sense of community and a sense of like your own people to feel at home, then you do have to research what type of diversity programs, what type of diversity spaces does your school offer, and make sure that you're just evaluating that in your search for school. Because it really sucks to go to a school and feel like you're not welcome there, or feel like there's no one who cares about your culture there. And that's the reality for a lot of people who don't make up the majority of the school, which is why this is really important. USC has a dorm where each floor of the dorm is like a different race, I believe, like Asian American, Latino, Black, and I'm not sure how many floors there are, but that's really cool. Like, imagine just like, that's like so cool. So I just want you guys to know that like these schools do this stuff, and they do try to make sure that everyone feels at home sometimes. So look for that, research it, make sure that wherever you go to school, there's a place for you there, and there's a place where you will feel comfortable there, because it's your school just as much as it's anybody else's. So that is all I have for you guys today. I'm going to go to sleep because I really, really deserve it. And I will see you guys later. Bye. Another reason why researching the culture and diversity of your school is important, or the schools that you're thinking about is important, is because these schools that value culture and diversity sometimes are literally looking for people who will bring culture and diversity to their campus. It's kind of a weird thing to think about, but some schools literally need you. So